Oliver Hall was a married man. Diana was a married woman. Both were ready to risk everything. But this secret love destroyed Diana's life. Before we dive into this complex story of forbidden love, please consider subscribing to the Diana Stories and hitting the like button. Your support helps us tell these difficult but important chapters in Diana's life with the respect they deserve. In the autumn of 1992, Diana's life was already in pieces. Her marriage to Charles was officially over. The media was constantly following her, and she felt more alone than ever. It was precisely during this period that 48-year-old Oliver Hoare entered Diana's life. Oliver Hoare was not an ordinary man. He was an art historian, Islamic art expert, and distinguished antiquarian. He was a close friend of Diane von Furstenberg and also Charles's business partner. However, for Diana, Oliver represented something Charles could never give her: intellectual stimulation and genuine interest. When they first met, Diana was 32 and Oliver was 48. This age difference was attractive to Diana because Oliver was mature, knowledgeable, and a man who valued Diana's ideas. Unlike Charles, Oliver listened to Diana and took her thoughts seriously. Oliver's wife, Diane Hoare, was frequently in France during this period. This situation created a suitable environment for Oliver and Diana to grow closer. What began as innocent art discussions soon took on a deeper dimension. Lady Elsa Boker, Diana's close friend, remembered Diana's change during that period. Diana was suddenly very different. She seemed more lively, more energetic. I hadn't seen her this happy in a long time. Diana and Oliver's relationship began with secret art museum visits. Oliver explained Islamic art, Persian rugs, and ancient artifacts to Diana. Diana felt intellectually valuable in these conversations. Charles had never treated her this way. It didn't take long for the relationship to take on a romantic dimension. By the end of 1992, there was emotional and physical closeness between Diana and Oliver. However, this relationship had to be kept completely secret. Oliver was a married man with 3 children. Diana was still officially married and the mother of 2 princes. Both had a lot to lose, but sometimes love is stronger than reason. While Diana was living this relationship, she also felt very guilty. She had told Rosa Monckton, "I know it's wrong to be with a married man, but I can't stop myself." During the most intense period of the relationship, Diana began writing letters to Oliver. These letters were handwritten by Diana and contained very intimate feelings. In these letters, Diana expressed her love for Oliver and how precious the time she spent with him was. In one letter, Diana wrote, "Oliver, every minute I spend with you is priceless to me. You make me feel valuable. I haven't felt this way in a long time." In another letter, she wrote, "The days I can't see you are torture for me. Just hearing your voice is enough. You are very special to me." These letters showed how much in love Diana was, but they also revealed how vulnerable she was. Oliver was very conflicted in this situation. He loved Diana, but didn't want to lose his family either. His wife, Diane, was beginning to suspect. The children could also be affected by this situation. At the beginning of 1993, Diana's behavior began to get out of control. She started calling Oliver constantly. Sometimes she would call in the middle of the night. Sometimes she would hang up without speaking at all. This phone obsession went so far that Oliver's wife Diane began to suspect something. When phone records were examined, it was revealed that Diana called Oliver nearly 300 times per month. Ken Wafay, Diana's bodyguard, described the princess's condition during this period. Diana was behaving obsessively. She constantly wondered what Oliver was doing and wanted to talk to him. This phone obsession began to become dangerous for Diana. Oliver's phone lines were being monitored, and there was a danger of Diana's identity being revealed. In mid-1993, Oliver decided to end his relationship with Diana. This decision was best for both his own family and Diana, but Diana didn't want to accept this decision. Oliver told Diana at their last meeting, "This relationship has become dangerous for both of us, Diana. We must stop." Diana's eyes filled with tears. "But I love you, Oliver. You are my only friend, the only person I understand." Oliver's response was painful, but necessary. "I love you too, Diana, but this love will destroy both of us. You deserve a much better man." Diana couldn't accept this separation. She continued writing letters to Oliver. In these letters, she begged him to come back. In one of her last letters, Diana wrote, "Oliver, please don't leave me. I can't live without you. I love you so much. This love is real. You know it too." But Oliver was no longer responding. He read Diana's letters, but didn't reply. This situation made Diana even more desperate. By the end of 1993, people around Diana noticed she was falling into depression. After separating from Oliver, Diana felt very lonely. Paul Burrell described Diana's condition during this period. Diana was behaving obsessively. She constantly wondered what Oliver was doing and wanted to talk to him. Meanwhile, the media had also increased its interest in Diana's life. Paparazzi were following Diana's every move. This pressure worsened Diana's mood even more. At the beginning of 1994, Diana's relationship with Oliver leaked to the press. The Sun newspaper wrote that Diana constantly called Oliver and they had secret meetings. These reports were very difficult for both Diana and Oliver. Oliver's family was involved in the scandal. Diana once again became the target of the media. Diane Hoare was very angry when she learned about her husband's relationship with Diana. She demanded Oliver immediately end this relationship. There were major arguments within the family. Oliver's children were also affected by this situation. Friends at school were asking them questions about their father. This situation was very difficult for the children. Diana was being crushed under media pressure. She constantly faced questions about Oliver. She tried to deny this relationship, but no one believed her. In mid-1994, Oliver cut off all communication with Diana. He changed his phone number. He didn't answer her letters. He refused to see Diana. This situation was very painful for Diana. She felt as if life had lost its meaning without Oliver. She told her friends, "Oliver left me. I don't want to live anymore." Dr. James Coldhurst, Diana's friend and doctor, described the princess's mental state during this period. Diana was very depressed. Oliver's absence affected her greatly. Diana threw herself into work to overcome this pain. She devoted more time to charity work. She worked for AIDS patients, homeless children, and poor families. But when she was alone at night, she thought about Oliver and cried. This love had changed her greatly. She no longer naively believed in love as she used to. During Diana's BBC Panorama interview in 1995, her relationship with Oliver was indirectly brought up. When Diana said, "There was 3 of us in this marriage," she wasn't just referring to Camilla, she was also implying her own betrayal. After this interview, the relationship between Oliver and Diana completely ended. Oliver focused on his own life. Diana searched for new loves. When Oliver Hoare died in 2010, Diana's letters from that period were still safe. Oliver had never published these letters out of respect for Diana's memory. This relationship was a very important experience for Diana. For the first time, she had experienced real love with a man other than Charles. But this love brought her pain instead of happiness. But this search always ended in pain for Diana, because as a married princess, she couldn't experience love like a normal woman. The Oliver Hoare scandal was one of the turning points in Diana's life. After this relationship, Diana learned that love might not always end happily. Diana's letters to Oliver are still a matter of curiosity today. What was written in those letters? What were Diana's true feelings? These questions will never be fully answered, because Oliver Hoare took these secrets to his grave. To protect Diana's memory. The psychological impact of the Oliver Hoare affair on Diana cannot be understated. This relationship came at a time when Diana was already struggling with bulimia, depression, and the complete breakdown of her marriage. Oliver represented an escape from her royal prison, a glimpse of what normal love might feel like. Dr. Julia Samuel, a psychotherapist who later became close to Diana, explained the princess's mindset during this period. Diana was emotionally starving. She had never experienced unconditional love, and when Oliver showed her intellectual respect and genuine interest, it was intoxicating for her. The letters Diana wrote to Oliver revealed a woman desperate for validation. In one particularly revealing letter, she wrote, "You see me as I truly am, not as the princess the world expects me to be. With you, I can just be Diana, scared, lonely, but hopeful Diana." These words show how the relationship with Oliver was as much about self-discovery as it was about love. For the first time in years, Diana felt seen and valued for her mind, not just her royal status or her ability to produce heirs. The affair also had practical consequences that extended far beyond Diana's emotional state. Palace security became increasingly concerned about the princess's behavior. Her constant phone calls to Oliver were creating security risks, as phone lines could be monitored by hostile intelligence services or tabloid journalists. Commander Richard Aylard, Charles's private secretary at the time, later recalled, "We were deeply worried about the security implications. The princess was making herself vulnerable in ways she didn't fully understand." The phone calls became so frequent and erratic that BT, British Telecom, engineers were called to investigate what they initially thought was a technical fault on the Hoare family's line. When they discovered the calls were deliberate, it created another layer of risk for Diana's reputation. Diana's obsessive calling pattern revealed the depth of her emotional dependency on Oliver. She would call at all hours, sometimes during family dinners, sometimes when Oliver was conducting business meetings. The calls often consisted of nothing but heavy breathing and long silences, as Diana struggled to find words for her feelings. Oliver's daughter, Olivia Hay, years later described the impact on their family. The phone would ring constantly. My mother was becoming suspicious, my father was stressed, and we children didn't understand what was happening. It was a very difficult time for our family. The end of the relationship was particularly traumatic for Diana because it represented yet another abandonment in her life. First, her mother had left when she was 6, then Charles had emotionally abandoned her for Camilla, and now Oliver was choosing his family over her. This pattern of abandonment created a deep fear in Diana that would affect all her subsequent relationships. She became increasingly clingy and desperate with romantic partners, which often had the opposite effect of what she intended, pushing them away rather than drawing them closer. The media coverage of the affair was particularly brutal. Headlines like "Diana's phone pest" and "Crazy Cole's princess" portrayed Diana as unhinged and obsessive. This coverage deeply wounded Diana, who felt the media was once again reducing her to a caricature rather than trying to understand her pain. James Hewitt, Diana's former lover, commented on the media's treatment of the Oliver Hoe story. They made Diana look like a stalker, but she was just a woman in love who didn't know how to handle rejection. The press was cruel in a way that showed no understanding of her emotional state. The affair also marked a turning point in how the royal establishment handled Diana. Before the Oliver Hoe scandal, there had been hopes that Diana could be managed and controlled. After it, senior courtiers realized that Diana was unpredictable and potentially dangerous to the monarchy's reputation. Sir Robert Fellows, the Queen's private secretary and Diana's brother-in-law, was reportedly heard saying, "We cannot control her. She has become a loose cannon, and we must protect the institution from her impulsivity." This shift in attitude would have profound consequences for Diana's future within the royal family. She was increasingly marginalized and excluded from important family decisions, which only deepened her sense of isolation and abandonment. The letters Diana wrote during the final phase of her relationship with Oliver show a woman grappling with the reality that love alone was not enough to overcome the obstacles they faced. In one of her last letters, she wrote, "I understand now that wanting something desperately doesn't mean it will happen, but understanding doesn't make the pain less." Oliver's decision to keep Diana's letters private, even after her death, showed a level of respect and discretion that contrasted sharply with how others in Diana's life had treated her confidences. Unlike James Hewitt, who wrote a book about his affair with Diana, Oliver maintained his silence. When approached by publishers offering substantial sums for Diana's letters, Oliver reportedly said, "Some things are more important than money. Diana trusted me with her feelings, and I will honor that trust, even in death." This discretion meant that the full extent of Diana's feelings for Oliver was never fully revealed to the public. The letters that survived in private hands painted a picture of a woman capable of deep love, but also capable of destructive obsession. The Oliver Hoe affair taught Diana harsh lessons about the limitations of royal life. She learned that even genuine love could become a liability when lived under the scrutiny of the media and the constraints of royal protocol. Friend Lucia Fletcher de Lima observed, "After Oliver, Diana became more guarded in her relationships. She realized that her position made normal love almost impossible. This knowledge was both liberating and heartbreaking for her." The psychological scars from this relationship would influence Diana's approach to all her subsequent romantic entanglements. With Hasnat Khan, she would be more secretive, but also more realistic about the challenges they faced. With Dodi al-Fayed, she would be more cautious about fully investing her heart. The Oliver Howard chapter in Diana's life ultimately demonstrated both her capacity for deep emotional connection and the tragic impossibility of her finding lasting happiness within the constraints of her royal role. It was a love story that could never have a happy ending, not because the feelings weren't real, but because the circumstances made such love unsustainable. Today, as we look back on this complex relationship, we see not just a scandalous affair, but a human story of longing, connection, and ultimate loss. Diana's letters to Oliver Howard remain a testament to her capacity for love and her desperate search for someone who could love her not as a princess, but as a woman. Diana's secret love letters showed her most vulnerable moments, the desperation, hope, and disappointment of a woman in love. This story shows us that Diana could fall in love and suffer like a normal woman. Being a princess didn't protect her from the pain of love.